that look right off my face, but I'm still grinning. And the money ain't run out yet, so I do believe I'm winning. For all the mess I was, am and will be continuing, and the fun is only beginning. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la.
Hello and welcome to Don't Bury the Lead. We recap WWE Smackdown every Friday night after the bell. My name's Jonathan Dell. I'm joined by Dom Scarcella. Dom, go ahead and tell the people a little bit about yourself.
I will try to keep this introduction under 39 minutes. Wink, wink. Great to be back here post Elimination Chamber Premium Live event here doing SmackDown again. So without further ado, John, don't bury the lead. What's our top story from SmackDown March 1st, 2024?
Dom, we don't ever bury the lead. And I'm going to keep it with the main event here.
Okay.
So we had a real wrestling match at the end of the show, which is always our favorite. We have Austin Theory versus Randy Orton, and Randy Orton goes over a little bit predictably. Pretty cut and dry pro wrestling match. I thought it was pretty good for the main event. They told us it was the main event. We got a little Kevin Owens on commentary as well, which was a nice little surprise.
Yes.
Dom, what did you think of this main event with Randy Orton going over Austin Theory?
9-minute match, like you said, not a bad match. Randy Orton obviously was going to win, but they did their best to keep it interesting in the match. Like, you know the finish, but let's get there in a way that's not so predictable. I thought Austin Theory had some good spots in there. I mean, the throat chopped and the big left forearm for a 2 count was really good. I also liked that Theory got some shots in early, like to go to the first commercial. They were on the outside, and Grayson Waller saves Austin Theory from getting slammed into the announce table. And
Right.
then as Randy turns to go for Grayson, Austin Theory kind of pounds him from the backside. So it's not like this was a squash or that Austin Theory is just bumping the whole night. Although I got to say, he does bump spectacularly when he has to. The finish of this match is Theory goes for the rolling DDT from outside where he springboards himself in through the middle and top rope. And as he rolls, Randy Orton catches him with an RKO. And Theory leapt into this. Like, he was way up in the air, and it looked fantastic on TV. So kudos to Austin Theory for not mailing it in here in a match where, we all knew sort of what was going to happen at the end.
He's been
Fun
a pretty
little
good
match, and I love Kevin Owens on commentary as well. So go ahead.
fantastic on commentary. Good. One little thought here I had during the match. I just thought, poor Austin Theory. I mean, he was a U.S. champion.
Yep.
He looked like the future of the company.
Mhm.
And he looked like a guy that they were going to try to build up. And now he's just kind of putzing around with Grayson Waller and just jobbing at people. And, it's just been kind of a downward trajectory for him. He's a good sport for sure for selling like crazy, because what else can you do, right? When you're going to lose all these matches, he just has to sell well and hope for the best. But
Him being so young, do you like what you just said? They look like they were building up to be a real future of the company. Him being so young, is this part of it? Like, okay, you look like $1 million and you can move in the ring, but you have to work on being a character. And is this a chance for him to just work on being a character? There's some comedy stuff. There's some smarmy heel stuff. He's got a guy he can work off of in Grayson Wallace. I mean, is this part of his learning? Like, I don't think this means that they're done with him or that he doesn't have a future. I think they're trying to round out, he had some obvious physical tools when he showed up. And I think this is all them trying to round out his character and letting him do it on TV rather than just sending him down to NXT for a year.
Yeah, I mean, getting sent down to NXT is kind of a death sentence, right? If he would, that'd be kind of it. He'll be down there for, kind of like Baron Corbin when he got sent down. He's just down there.
Do you
but
like
the
what
thing
Austin Theory's been doing? Like, is he doing well in this role? Do you think he's doing well enough where it's like it's not as if they're burying him?
So before we were watching, I just know this a little bit about Austin Theory. Was he had the U.S. title for a very long time, and I know that Vince McMahon was involved with a storyline with him. So Vince and everyone was like, "Well, Vince must really think highly of this guy." And Cornette really got into him. He was saying like he's a prodigy and all this stuff. And he's really kind of trailed off though, as time's gone on here, and he's just not ready. But he's super young, so he's got time and be on TV, and he's this young. 15 years ago, Vince probably wouldn't have batted an eye because of his height. So,
do we want to talk about him kind of saving what looked like a botch?
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, it looked like Randy Orton was going for a superplex, but he slipped down off the turnbuckle. And so Theory just kind of went with it. I thought Theory had kind of turned it into almost a blockbuster.
Oh,
but Randy
I didn't realize
did not sell it at all. So like, so that was supposed to be a superplex. Oh, okay. Like you meant that to be a superplex. And Randy, when he didn't wind up missing the superplex, he just didn't sell anything at all. Austin Theory completely flipped into the move and landed on his back. Like he went with it, whether or not Randy was able to execute the move.
Well, he covered it up so well, I didn't even notice it. I thought that was the move.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I mean, I was watching that and they're trying to like save him on commentary. Those turnbuckles, those ropes, they get slippery because a guy comes in like Austin Theory, oil on him. He's making the ropes slippery, and he's making the ropes. Okay.
Oh, I did notice that line. Okay, so it definitely was one of those things where Kevin Owens was like, wink, wink, nod, nod. The ropes are slippery.
The ropes are slippery. Yeah, we like Kevin Owens on commentary, don't we?
Oh my God, he's fantastic.
He's got a future in this if he stops, being the fight Owens fight guy, right? He's a good overall atmosphere for this match, right? I mean, it was fun. The crowd was into it. Randy Orton went over. The two jokey guys got their comeuppance. Kevin Owens was fun. They had a little post-match beatdown, little fist bump between Randy and Kevin Owens. I mean, I don't know how much you want to go into more details in this match. I mean, it was fun for what it was. They had to have a main event.
They had the main event.
Actually went all the way through.
And the only other thing I have is, Randy just doing the 10 punches, which is pretty, your standard issue main event on SmackDown. Do the 10 punches. The crowd counts. They get into it. Yep. So solid enough and good enough. But so maybe that's the lead, and we can get into the rest of the show here because there's a lot more to discuss. Maybe I can kick it to you. What do you think we should start with in the follow?
We have to talk about the first 39 minutes of the show.
Yeah, right. It is the thumbnail.
It's the thumbnail. It's by far the longest segment on the show. It goes over a commercial break. I mean, a little bit of Perth recapping of Elimination Chamber. Then Roman Reigns walks out with Paul Heyman, Jimmy Uso, and Solo Sikoa. It is 8:10. SmackDown goes on the air at 8 p.m. here in southern New Jersey for us. It is 8:10 by the time Roman says anything. And he's, asking, acknowledge me. He sulks at the reaction each time. He wants to leave, but Paul says, no, because after commercial, The Rock will be here. And so everybody sticks around to see sulking Roman Reigns. And they come back from commercial, and The Rock is there. And sure enough, it's 8:21 when finally The Rock says something.
Wow.
8:21. Are you sure you want to boo The Rock? Then says Phoenix is the city with the highest cocaine and meth use in the country. And so he's leaning into the heel. So I like that both of them are leaning into the heel stuff. But the real meat and potatoes for this, and it took them a while to get there, was I think you had hinted it. You wanted to see Rock and Roman in a tag match against Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes. They're now saying that's going to be WrestleMania Night 1 main event. Tag match, Rock and Roman versus Cody and Seth, and there are stipulations here because it's wrestling and we need stipulations.
Of course.
If Cody and Seth win, then night 2 is the title match, Cody versus Roman, and the bloodline barred from ringside, barred from the arena. Maybe they'll sign the contracts and get the lawyers and everything. But if Rock and Roman win, or Roman and Rock, then night 2 title match is a bloodline rules where, anything goes, which basically means it's a standard Roman Reigns title defense, right?
Right.
Every Roman Reigns title defense has been bloodline rules.
Bloodline rules.
Four other guys coming into the ring. The ref gets knocked out. The other guy pins Roman, but there's no count. I mean, so I like that. But then
that really has been every title defense for like a year
that we've seen. Like maybe he did like 3 years ago. There was something else, but this is every match we've seen for a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And then Rock is going to do his If You Smell, and Roman Reigns stops him, says he needs The Rock to acknowledge him. And there's this stare down, and the Rock obliges, says he will do it for family. And while the crowd is chanting, "You sold out," The Rock admonishes the crowd and then says, "Yes, I acknowledge you as my tribal chief." And then they do the catchphrase together. Rock says, "If you smell," and he hands the microphone to Roman. And Roman says, "What the bloodline is cooking." And it's 8:39 p.m. on a show that's going off the air at 9:58.
It was.
This is not Raw where you can do this and there's still more than 2 hours left. It's an hour and 13 minutes left, and you got to do more commercials because you only did one in the first 40 minutes.
Right.
This is not the best format for a SmackDown. Now, I know there are eyeballs on the screen for this segment. It probably did the best number. The Rock's a star. Roman's a star. But this is tough for a SmackDown show, is it not? I mean, I'm not going to say I hated the segment. I'm just going to say that on a SmackDown show, this put everything else like behind the 8 ball.
This is weird. It is a little retro, right? Where you have a very they haven't done. They kind of got away from the long-winded promos because they're mostly like, "Oh my God, is this over yet?" And by the time it's over, the crowd's tuned out. They're going on and on and on and on. I'm thinking like Triple H years ago, kind of going on and on and on. You'd go get a sandwich, you come back, he's still talking. But I think The Rock is really money. He just he can still, especially as a heel, he can still tear into the crowd. Yep. Women are screaming at him. I haven't heard women scream at the at a pro wrestler like that, like Beach Boys. But he's like a 55-year-old crazy juice head man. It's just it was weird, but I mean it was good because I think he's still just his ability to tear apart like these Midwest cities so far has been stellar.
It's cheap heat. Not to foreshadow what we do every time we live stream here. Yes, it's cheap heat. The Rock basically turns the crowd into his opponent. So all the ripping that he would do to his opponent years ago, he's now doing to the crowd again as a heel. In spite of how long the segment went, the crowd in the arena seemed to enjoy it.
They were eating it up.
Enjoy it. I mean, they were engaged and they were booing the heck out of these guys.
Yeah,
like as they should have. The "You sold out" chants were great. The Cody chants were great.
You got a Triple H chant. They were chanting all kinds of stuff, and it's probably the first person we've really seen give a lot to the crowd to chant and cheer for. Because a lot of times, I mean, we've seen some people that just are not even close to The Rock on the mic, sure. On SmackDown with like Logan Paul, Grayson Waller, et cetera, et cetera. It's just a totally different ball game with The Rock.
Mm-hmm.
But all in all, I like the idea because I have tickets for Saturday for WrestleMania.
All right.
So I am like, oh, cool. I get to see The Rock wrestle and see the entrance. And all I can think is is like taking the video and uploading it like of the Rock entrance, upload it to YouTube, hopefully get some views out of that. And
Yeah.
yeah, so I'm pumped from a personal perspective. Okay, cool.
Absolutely.
I get to see the Rock wrestle. Also, it can be really dangerous with these guys that don't ever wrestle. And they haven't wrestled in years. So putting him in a tag match could be a little bit safer,
Yes.
right? He could just do his 2 or 3 things, people's elbow, rock bottom, and maybe like occasional back bump, But
As we get closer to it, we'll talk more about it. But this is going to be yeoman's work for Seth Rollins and for Roman Reigns, because Seth is legitimately hurt, trying to rehab a knee injury. Still has the back that he hasn't gotten taken care of, I don't think. And Roman still has leukemia. I don't think that ever totally goes away. So for him to be wrestling back-to-back nights, even though one of them's a tag match, that's impressive. And for Rollins, now it looks like he has to wrestle back-to-back nights as well, because he still has Drew McIntyre in the World Heavyweight Championship match. So these guys who are playing hurt and maybe even playing injured are going to be doing back-to-back nights, with the spotlight on it. But I'm glad you brought up WrestleMania Night 1 and you going to it. This is why they do it, right? Because it draws excitement. I mean, WrestleMania is already sold out, but like you're now even more excited to attend this in person.
Yeah, for sure. And then in addition to that, they've got the 2 nights, so they need to have something really good for Saturday.
Yep.
I think 2 years ago they did Stone Cold Steve Austin in a brawl with Kevin Owens. Because it's like, okay, well, it's in AT&T Stadium in Dallas, Texas.
There you go.
Or Arlington, Texas, I should say.
Yep.
So they like brought Stone Cold back. I forget last year what the main was.
On Saturday, the first time ever that a tag team title match main evented WrestleMania.
Oh, but they had a great storyline set up for that, with the Bloodline and Sammy and Kevin. So that, that
was my favorite match as far as build up and storyline. That was the favorite match of WrestleMania for me, even though I think Rhea Charlotte was a better in-ring match.
Yeah, the best in-ring match was Rhea and Charlotte, and probably all things considered was the Kevin Owens Sammy match with the actual in-ring match was good too.
Yeah, so you're going to get something like that now. It looks like there's a lot going into building that storyline for the tag team Saturday night, which is night 1 main event. And so I think they're trying that formula again. That let's put a big story into the night 1 main event, because that's got a main event night 1. It has to.
Yeah, and I guess they're going to have. Oh my God! If I get Gunther on Saturday too, I'd much rather get Gunther than any other title match. I haven't even seen him in a year, but
I don't know if they can have Seth wrestle twice on the same night, can they?
No, so they'll probably put him on Sunday.
So they'll probably both go Sunday. So you'll miss Gunther. That's too bad.
Well, if Gunther's the IC title.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. So you'll get Gunther IC on Saturday. Yes. I'm getting confused. I already want Gunther to be in a world heavyweight title match.
No, right. Oh my God, no. He should be knocking off Roman Reigns. Who we kidding? Anyway, sorry, I'm kind of talking about WrestleMania, but I guess it's night
the road to WrestleMania. It's 5 weeks away. That's what they want us talking about, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's not like we're going off on a tangent. Like, this is the road to WrestleMania. This is what it's all about. They want us talking about it. We're talking about it. So we're playing the game here.
Right, and we had a couple matches tonight as well.
We had 5 matches tonight.
Yes, some of them were shorter, kind of storyline stuff. Some of them were good. Can I go to my match of the night?
You can, right after we ask if anybody's watching us on the live stream, or if you're just watching on the recording. Tell us in the chat, tell us in the comments. What do you think of a 39-minute segment to open SmackDown? It's only a 2-hour show. Was this too much? Was it just right for you? Did you want them to take up the whole hour? Like, what is it? This is unusual. Last time I saw an opening segment this long, I think, was the tribal trial of Sami Zayn, but they did it on Raw. It took like 35 minutes.
Right.
Open Raw a little more than a year ago, but like that's Raw. It's a 3-hour show. So what do you think of this? This is not usual. So how did this play for you? If you're tell us in the chat, tell us in the comments. And you said what your match of the night you wanted to go to or favorite?
My favorite match of the night, and I think
Okay.
is Santos Escobar versus Carlito.
Yep.
And
Match of the night.
Carlito goes over and they have a hardcore match, a weapons
Street
match.
fight. Yeah.
Street fight of sorts. Where weapons are involved. And sometimes these are a little rough. Basically, they get like, I don't know, they just use the weapons way too much or they don't use them effectively.
Mhm.
But Rey Mysterio, or I guess, basically essentially what happens is Santos Escobar's crew comes down to interfere. They get the 2 count on Carlito. He kicks out.
Yep.
Then Carlito's LWO team comes down, and then Rey Mysterio comes down, and the crowd goes crazy when Rey Mysterio comes down, and they throw Carlito through the table that they set up from the very beginning. So puts it all together. This is a really good match. Dom, what did you think of this match?
Boy, this match had a lot of people involved in it.
Right.
The only thing we didn't see was Zelina Vega and Elektra Lopez slugging it out. Like you said, we got the Legado del Fantasma lackeys, we got the LWO lackeys, and I shouldn't say that. The rest of the faction, the supporting actors.
Yeah, you're right.
Got into this. The LDF guys really took advantage of the street fight rules and interfered first on Helen and Barto. And that was the triple team move you talked about where they throw him off the ropes and then they kind of flip him over into a sit-out power bomb by Santos Escobar. So it's real cool triple team move, but Carlito kicks out of it. That's when Joaquin Wilde and Cruz del Toro hit the ring. The factions brawl. The LDF gets the advantage. That's when we hear Rey Mysterio's music. And how about his entrance? He walks out on crutches.
Mm-hmm.
And Anel and Humberto, they leave the ring and march up the ramp like they're going to just like put him out of his misery. And Rey springs to his feet and starts swinging that crutch.
Right.
So he's fine. He has healed from the ambush that Santos gave him months and months ago, or used the ring steps to injure Rey's leg. Rey had already hurt the leg and was scheduled for surgery, but that was the storyline, how they got to it. But Rey looks like he's fine. He was hopping around on the leg pretty well. Got into the ring, of course. Santos went to swing at him when Rey said, "Come on, hit me." Rey ducks it, and then, eventually Carlito pops back up after he's recovered. He spits the apple into Santos's face. That's like his version of, the green mist.
Yes.
That the Japanese wrestlers do. He spits the apple in his face. 619 after, the LWO guys wind up hitting these top turn somersaults onto the floor, onto the LDF guys. So like everybody got their stuff in this match.
Oh, yeah.
This was an old time JR. Everybody's got to get your stuff in. Everybody got their stuff in this match. 619 eventually. Yes, Carlito side slammed Santos through the table. 1, 2, 3. This was the most fun match of the night for me. It was probably match of the night just because of all the action. The crowd, again, the crowd did not just like tune out after the Rock and Roman Reigns segment that lasted 40 minutes. They weren't worn out by it, and they weren't just going like, I guess those are the stars. The rest of the show's going to suck. We want apples chants out of this crowd. As Carlito's looking for weapons under the ring. That's usually when you hear we want tables. We got a few of those. We got a we want apples chant.
And then he gave him the apples, which
he showed the apple, then Santos Escobar ambushed him, and they went to commercial and came back. But like we got a we want apples chant. So kudos for this crowd for this match goes 11 minutes. It's 9:19 to about 9:30 on my timekeeping here, my unofficial timekeeping. So the crowd was still into this. Good for them. It's got to be fun because this match could be, like you said, a mess, and it could just be like, what are we watching? But
we see a bunch of these matches that are terrible around like Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Yes.
When they get very, very comic-y instead of like, oh, they're hitting them with the weapons.
They're hitting them with cookies.
Yeah, they're hitting each other with
Actual cookies, like
muffins.
chomp delicious dessert cookies.
Yeah. Oh, here's the pumpkin pie.
Yes.
But this match was good because I think Carlito was appropriately responding to the crowd, and
Yeah.
the crowd was eating it up.
Yes.
And all I could think was, every time Carlito's out there, he's pretty over, and he's pretty good out there.
Yes.
It's funny that they kind of took him in Puerto Rico when he was in Puerto Rico and kind of was just like the novelty, nostalgia guy. And now that he's been in SmackDown and WWE for a while, I'm like, he might be the best guy in this LWO Santos Escobar team factions fighting each other. Like he's really aged well, I'd have to say.
He's aged well, and that's probably a function of him being such a long time wrestler, where he's gotten his chance. He probably went through that Austin Theory stage where he looked great and had a gimmick, but he had to round into playing to the crowd, which he does very well, and being more of a character. And I think he's done. I think he's well. I'm with you. I think it's been a pleasant surprise to see Carlito back, and he's not just a gimmick wrestler. I mean, he looks like he can still wrestle a bit, and he's right in the center almost of this storyline.
Yeah, and I think it does a good job, kind of forwarding the storyline of what we're gonna get from these teams, and really for me, it was the crowd. They were just way into it. So that's for me the match tonight. Do you want to?
Which garbage match do you want to go to next?
there is some junk in here. Which
Braun Breaker beat Zion Quinn in less than a minute. He hits a spear immediately at the bell fall. Bell at 9:11. He pinfall at 9:11.
Yeah,
great. So the Braun Breaker is getting the Goldberg treatment.
Which this is his moment to have his entrance. I don't like me and you. We haven't really seen him because we don't watch NXT, but he's been their guy that they're bringing up, and this is kind of a strange way just do a squash like he can't wrestle. I don't know.
I hope he can wrestle. Like they're not showing it yet. They're building him to be this big monster. So
and he hits him with a spear, which is just the most generic move, like that. Goldberg, Edge, Roman Reigns, everyone
Bobby
does
Lashley.
it. Bobby Lashley, yeah. It's like
Rhino.
Oh, here's this guy that is a Steiner. He's barking. You're like, oh, awesome, and he just does a spear. So hopefully we're gonna get more than silly squash matches out of Braun Breaker.
Yeah. So. Naomi, Tiffany Stratton, or the Kabuki Warriors versus Bailey and Dakota?
Well, Tiffany Stratton and Naomi didn't get a lot of time, but I think they made the most of it.
They tried to. They only had 8 minutes because that opening segment ran long. Tiffany Stratton winds up hitting the prettiest moonsault ever. I think it's the first time she's really nailed that move that we've seen on SmackDown.
Totally. Same exact observation. I was like
just crushed it.
She actually hit it in the right spot. So.
And kudos to Naomi for maybe they went over the tapes and Naomi said, all right, it looks like I got to be just about this distance away from the corner when you can't see anything and just flip over backwards.
Yeah. And I really liked the really stiff slaps to each other at a certain point. Yeah. They were just slapping the hell out of each other in the face. I thought it was like, this is really stiff and looks pretty good. They didn't get a lot of time, and Naomi loses. Is it weird that we had such a great entrance from Naomi to the Rumble, and she's chosen to just kind of job to Tiffany Stratton? Or is Tiffany Stratton, they're kind of going to strap a rocket to her?
I think this is good for Tiffany Stratton. She's now beaten Liv Morgan on Raw and Naomi on SmackDown. Maybe it's Tiffy time.
Yeah.
Maybe it's Tiffy time, and they're trying to see what she can do in the spotlight. I think she's wonderful. We have, I think I have it already shared. We were saving it for Cheap Heat, but since she did the move, I've got it already shared up there. Tiffany Stratton got called out by Bully Ray in a good way. This comes to us from WrestleZone. Bully Ray was on the Busted Open Radio podcast. Says Tiffany Stratton reminds him of the Great Muta when she does that back round off handspring elbow. She does the gymnastics flipping and winds up back elbowing Naomi into the corner. She's done that before. It's an impressive move. And really, I mean, she does it with the speed of the Great Muta, who did it better than anybody else. Like, I don't know that there's anybody I've seen actually try the move since the Great Muta, just because like you wind up looking like a tool.
Right.
Like just slowly doing a move that was so fast and crisp when Muta did it. And like Tiffany Stratton with her world-class Olympic gymnast abilities, amazing performance. Tiffany Stratton reminds me of the Great Muta when she does that back round off handspring elbow. I don't know how much higher of a compliment I can pay Tiffany Stratton in that line right there. So, yes, she's getting pushed, but push aside. And thank you, WrestleZone, for alerting us to this. And yeah, we agree, Bully Ray. Push aside, Tiffany Stratton working in the ring. She didn't get a lot of time to do it here. It looked like they were rushed. It became really spot festy in the middle. Like they just, it's as if they had their checklist in the back. Like, oh, we got to hit this. And then somebody said, okay, you got 8 minutes. And they went, oh, I guess we got to just do all the spots then, instead of like removing a couple of them and maybe wrestling a more logical match. It became a little spot festy, but athletically she's awesome and she plays to the crowd. I mean, are they wrong for trying her with this push here based on what she can do in the ring and what she's been able to do personality wise?
Well, I think it's pretty crazy, from Tiffany Stratton, that the women's division is so strong in SmackDown, and they just plug somebody up from NXT and she looks really good. Yep. You'd almost look at the men's division and they pull people up from NXT and you're like, this is it, but like the women just get more and more stacked. So looking forward to her for sure.
We just talked about it with Braun Breaker. Braun Breaker's got all this hype from NXT. They bring him up and he's doing 30-second squashes.
Like 30-second squashes, like he's never wrestled before. Oh, just give him a squash because he doesn't know what he's doing.
And he's got a couple of those now. I mean, on the other hand, they bring up Tiffany Stratton into a women's division that's already stacked. They're throwing her in there against great opponents already. She's working Raw and SmackDown. They throw her in Elimination Chamber where she does well for herself. I mean,
really well for herself at Elimination Chamber.
Yeah,
kind of a star-making performance.
Yeah, and I think she has all the tools, as they say, and we'll see if she can keep it going. I think you mentioned that the crowd is really into her. She's supposed to be a heel, but the crowd likes her.
She does. Her moveset's too good. And, good-looking young girl. I don't know what they're thinking from a heel perspective, like why she'd be a heel. So, but I mean, I feel like, they'll find the footing. I mean, it's not too bad to be a heel and be getting cheered. Then you're like, all right, we'll just turn her face. That's even better.
At some point she could probably go babyface. Yeah.
It's better than you're not getting any response or you're getting go away heat and you have to turn heel. So it's actually a good thing. But yeah, so that's Tiffany Stratton going over Naomi. You want to take the next match here?
Oh, the only match we haven't talked about is a match that I think just got thrown out. It was billed as a women's tag team championship match. It was kind of the implosion of Damage Control. The Kabuki Warriors, the champions, Asuka and Kairi Sane with Io Sky versus Bayley and Dakota Kai. And you just knew this was going to happen. Dakota Kai turns on Bayley. It eventually becomes a 4-on-1 as Io Sky gets in there. And this was just to really put the nail in the coffin of Damage Control as far as Bayley being out. She's done. They're all against her now. The Dakota Kai stuff was just a setup, and it's Bayley on her own against these four, probably going into WrestleMania. Asuka and Kairi Sane and now Dakota Kai are probably going to be in Io Sky's corner. This is almost going to be bloodline rules for Bayley in this match here. We'll see how many ref bumps there are.
Right.
This match went, I think, 5 minutes before they finally were done with it.
It was weird that it went. It was weird that they just threw the match out because I thought they would just pin Bayley because
Yeah, they didn't really do that. They just humiliated her.
There would be no reason to not to throw the match out because her partner turned on her. Like, okay, you're allowed to, if the partner turns, that's not like you throw the match out. But then they just threw it out randomly.
I think when Io Sky came in and started getting shots in.
Yeah, but they could have just jumped her backstage, I guess. I don't know. It was
sure. Like I'm with you. They should have really humiliated her by pinning her first and then having Io Sky come in.
And I feel like this is the second time they've like jumped her, and they're not really like usually when you see someone get jumped, they should really be pretty physical and violent with it, right? It hasn't had that real effect where I'm like, oh, they just do one move and they stand around her after they do a move. Like,
this was more humiliation. I did like the first time they jumped her, and then Bayley, as she was lying face down in the corner, pulled the pipe out from that one. They gave her more of a beatdown. This was more of just humiliation. And again, everybody was crunched for time.
That's a good point, because I'm sure the promo, Brock just does whatever he wants. I mean, he probably they couldn't have been like, yo, can you go 40 minutes with your promo?
Yeah.
Because they have 5 matches after that. So, yeah, maybe they're just like, everyone go fast.
It's like, all right, you got 5 minutes to do this whole thing in the ring. I need the bump on Dakota Kai. She's got to get back up. She's got to bail out on the hot tag attempt. Then I got everybody beating on her. Io's got to come in. You got to humiliate her, turn to the hard camera, turn to the roving camera. 5 minutes. That's it. That's all you got. 5 minutes.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I didn't even think about this, but
the beatdown would normally take 5 minutes on its own.
Yeah, right. Right. The whole, not even the setup to get there, to get out in the ring, to have a match, then have the turn, then the beatdown. Yep. Yeah. They're just like, get the hell out of there.
So that's it. Do you want to go through any backstage stuff? We saw Jade Cargill.
Yes. Jade Cargill. It's good work if you could get it.
Right?
Standing around and pointing at the damage control and then saying nothing and just going away after she's done pointing at them.
Yes, Nick Aldis comes over and says, Jade, I need to see you.
So Jade Cargill hasn't shot a promo, hasn't said a word.
Nope.
Has just only done the Royal Rumble, which she came out and the crowd was really into it. But it's good work if you could get it. She hasn't done anything since her arrival to the WWE. And when did she first arrive?
Back in the fall when they announced her, and it was on a pay-per-view.
Yeah.
And we made a big deal about it here because we thought she would be into a storyline by now. But, here she is, all these months later, and she's still 1 15-second squash match short of Braun Breaker.
Yeah. She hasn't done anything in NXT. She hasn't done anything on Raw. She's still standing around. We kind of talked about it before. Is like, when is she going to start doing something? But we talked about this like a couple months ago. We made the video. So, So Jade Cargill, still doing her thing, which is
still
not
doing
much.
Her thing.
Hanging out.
LA
catering.
Knight was in some backstage segments, walking around with this folding chair, looking for AJ Styles, who is not there tonight, per Nick Aldis. But maybe they're next week. Looks like they're really stacking next week's show. Cody and Seth are supposed to be on this show. Maybe Roman Reigns might be back. The Rock might be back as well. LA Knight and AJ Styles might have a confrontation. So it looks like they may be stacking up next week's show as well. It really is the road to WrestleMania here.
Yeah. Looks to be pretty good. LA Knight was pretty funny when he said that he flew like a 30-hour flight, like halfway across the world, which is like literally true. Like, halfway across the world. Like, how could you hate him so much that you're willing to go for that flight to like beat him up in the ring? Like, that's some real commitment.
At the equivalent of 5 a.m.
Right? Yeah, it's still like super early in the morning too.
Yeah,
you could have just waited till this week at SmackDown.
Yeah.
But
Looking forward to that one too. So yeah, I mean, I don't have anything else really from tonight's show. I think we hit all of the main ideas, both in the ring and out of the ring here.
All right. So
From the road to WrestleMania to drive time.
that's
Because
right.
what else do you do on the road?
That's
you
right.
drive. It is the thumb drive. It is time for us to distill this entire SmackDown episode into a simple thumbs up or a thumbs down. There are no letter grades. There are no star ratings. There are no number grades. You're taking this course pass or fail. No ties either.
Mm-hmm. Dom, this is the thumb drive. We don't do star ratings. We're not Dave Meltzer. We just give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down. So are you ready?
I am.
3, 2, 1. Oh, differing opinions.
Mm-hmm.
Why'd you give tonight a thumbs down?
Because I felt like I just could have watched a bunch of 3-minute YouTube clips that WWE puts on their channel and gotten as much as I did out of watching the show.
This is true. Pretty much just the super long opening promo and a bunch of random, very, very short, forgettable matches. I gave this a thumbs up because I can't get enough of The Rock.
Okay.
I absolutely love The Rock and his promos. There has been such a lack of mic skills in WWE for years and years. And with The Rock back, he has such command over the crowd. I'm giving him one more. The show wasn't good, but it had The Rock. I don't know how much longer you could do this. I don't know if I want to, after, and I can even start to feel little chinks in the armor here with him, like kind of saying some lines that are a little bit more corny than funny.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's done enough to give it a thumbs up. And I do want to say, okay, we got the match. Let's get some real matches, kind of setting up the rest of WrestleMania.
I hear you. That's a good argument. If you're a fan of The Rock and you like the star power and you like what he does on the mic, you got that tonight, didn't you?
Yeah. So I mean, for me, that's really been the saving grace of the SmackDown, the two of the SmackDowns, really. We'll have to see, though, how much gas in the tank and how much we can play the nostalgia game before you're like, okay, he's just going to call them crackheads or meth heads or white trash or trailer trash. And it can't keep going 40 minutes. Can it? Can it? Okay. So
I need you to acknowledge me.
Yeah, and you got Roman kind of playing second fiddle, which of course is probably alluding to the term.
I think Roman carried the segment, by the way. I just his facial expressions, the way he sulked early and the way he looked like, he was trying to pivot from, like, all right, I'm in the ring with The Rock here, but I'm the top dog.
Right.
And so I thought Roman really did well with this. I mean, the Rock was out there, doing the greatest hits and getting all the cheers. But I think Roman, his job was really good here to really spin this forward and to give this whole bloodline reunion some depth.
Yeah, The Rock is really out there playing Freebird, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's Freebird. Okay. Yeah. He's out there doing the classics, doing the hits. Yep. But speaking of classics, speaking of hits, we're going to go to our next segment, which has been a hit with the audience.
Absolutely. It's, The Rock did a little cheap heat, and it's getting warm in here. It's March. The days are getting longer here in the Northern Hemisphere, getting a little more sunlight, maybe a little higher temperatures. It's getting warm, and well, it's, at least around here, it's always cheap.
It's getting warmer. We're getting closer to spring. Very cheap clothing on right now. You know what? We're cheap heat. This is our segment, Cheap Heat, where we talk about the WWE, AEW, and other topics that are trending in pro wrestling. We typically will talk about these trending topics, make short videos of them, and put them on YouTube. We are nearing 500 subscribers as
We're
we are
getting there.
slowly at 464, I believe the count is.
All right.
As we picked up some subscribers today, so we're close. We're wondering, will we hit 500 or will we hit WrestleMania first? So if you're watching,
Oh,
give us a subscribe, because guess what? It's free, and this is cheap heat.
yes.
Moving on
We're
here.
going for the cheap pop. This is wonderful. Let's do some more rock.
There you go.
TKO, the parent company of both UFC and WWE, reported $614 million in quarterly revenue. Targets growth on new media rights. And there's The Rock, and that's Ariel Emanuel, the CEO of TKO. There's Triple H, there's Paul Levesque in the background as well. So The Rock has been a big part of the business PR, I think we should call this. This is business PR. I doubt The Rock was brought in to handle some financial accounting, negotiate contracts, and things like that. But The Rock is excellent entertainment PR for a big entertainment and sports company like TKO. A few things in here. They say, I don't know if these are great numbers or not, because this is really the first quarter of a year that TKO has been around. It formed in the fall, in late summer, early fall. So this is. I mean, it sounds like they're making a lot of money. That's got to be pretty good, right? Let's bring up their stock numbers here. It's at 82. So whatever this news was, it wasn't great for the stock. I mean, the week it's been down for the week. So it's not like this was gangbusters news for the stock. But, they're making money. They're not going out of business. They seem to be doing well. There was a question, of course, about Vince McMahon here. And would he make further moves in selling any of his remaining stake in the company? And I think you had a good take on this, John, about the COO, Mark Shapiro, saying he'll do whatever he's going to do, and we're all on the sideline. We'll all have a look. We'll see. We have no idea on timing. We're not having any discussion with him. He's given us no point of view on his motive or his plans to sell or not sell, or if he does, how much. So we're going to wait around and find out, just like you. Sounds like they're kind of tired of talking about it. They don't seem to be that interested in it.
Yeah, this is really interesting, because I know they were like, "Oh, he's resigning," and it seems like like a two-way thing where they both agree that he should resign, but they really talk about him like my point was like when the Eagles and TO had this big breakup back in the aughts, or whenever a pro sports player has a big breakup from their team, and they just kind of talk down about him. It doesn't seem like they're really going to bat for him, or like, oh, we thank him for his service here with the company and wish him the best in his future endeavors. They're really kind of burying him. Like, yeah, we don't really talk to him. We don't really care what he does anymore. So that is that. He's no longer a part of the company, and that's that. So
new phone, who dis?
New phone. New phone, who dis? Exactly.
This comes from the Hollywood Reporter, so great job from them, from the Hollywood Reporter. By the way, The Rock apparently owns the IP rights to Jabroni. Excellent. Little more from Fightful Select here. Nick Khan really talking up the Netflix Raw deal as they announced earnings here as well. And you could see more of the guys here having a good time. The Rock is welcomed into the executive echelon there. Nick Khan saying for us, a global localized product has always been a priority. I don't know what global localized means.
I
That
don't
sounds
know.
like corporate speak for we just made it up, and we think Netflix helps us with that. If you look at premium live event schedule for this calendar year, Perth, Australia, this past weekend, Berlin, France, Riyadh, Canada, all over the world. Maybe he's trying to say that the Netflix deal is a bigger arrangement for them to travel more with some of these premium live events or big house shows if they're on tour in Europe, building to a premium live event. Okay. Global localized product. That seems like a clumsy way to say it, but if Netflix is giving them a more consistent global footprint, then that's another plus of that contract signing there.
I'm surprised he didn't throw the AI in there just to make
Right.
it really that corporate nonsense BS
Maybe
terminology.
AI wrote his response for him.
Maybe he ChatGPT. Yeah.
They're scripting Nick Khan's promos. They're not letting him go out with just bullet points or winging it. They're scripting Nick Khan's promos and AI is writing it for him. Global localized product. Say global localized product. It's the ghost of Vince McMahon in his earpiece.
It's the ghost of Vince McMahon. Yes, because Vince is certainly dead to the company, so he is a ghost. You like that? Right. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. So, even kind of, it's one of the, I guess it's the job of the CEO to kind of promote and hype things up and make it real salesy. So he adds that stuff to it. But it does seem like all signs point to it's a great arrangement for them to be on Netflix because they seem to be the winner of the streaming battle.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting that the stock didn't really spike so much off of the revenue. And I noticed that the WWE revenue was a little higher than the UFC revenue when they did the breakdown. But, is it more expensive to run the WWE rather than the UFC with all of the live events that they do? The UFC they're not on TV 3 nights a week.
No.
The WWE is. So, and, that's just revenue. We don't know about the expenses, right? So
There are, I'm sure, a lot of expenses. I mean, that's what drove a lot of these wrestling companies out of business as they tried to climb up and compete with the WWE. Like ECW, it was the expenses that drove them crazy, trying to take their show out on the road and out of the Northeast 25 years ago.
Yeah.
It was a problem for TNA Impact when they tried to do more touring around the country. They were bankrolled by a big company behind them, sort of like Tony Khan is now in All Elite Wrestling and AEW. They're able to weather some of these real storms that would put another company like ECW 25 years ago basically out of business.
Right.
It's expensive. Touring is expensive. It's like a rock concert. It's like a tour for a huge rock band. They've got to bring almost their own stage, their own lights, their own sound system, their own entrance, their own pyro, lighting, everything that goes into it. It's
100%. The cost just to have the shows and as frequently as they do, boy, and then WCW too. I can remember the salaries they were paying out were absurd. Like Disco Inferno was making $350,000 a year in the late 90s, which is just like, is Disco Inferno really moving the needle for WCW? And then I think it was Booker T's brother. Is it Stevie Ray?
Yes.
He was at $500,000 a year just to be like Booker T's brother,
and back then it was a lot more money than it is now.
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, they would pay guys handsomely. And they're still doing that, I would imagine. I mean, I would imagine guys in the WWE are getting paid pretty well. So yeah, there's a lot of expenses here. But hey, if your revenues are more than your expenses, then you're creating more value than you are using up in the creation process.
Mhm.
That's the beauty of the price mechanism in a market,
Right.
right? It lets you know if you're wasting more than you're producing, or if you're producing more than you're wasting. So
Mhm.
good for them. Speaking of a guy who producing and wasting, were you aware that John Cena was apparently in the Barbie movie?
I watched the Barbie movie, and I
You
was
did?
aware of that. Yeah.
You were aware of it? I did not know this. There he is.
Mhm.
He's apparently a merman. This comes to us from WrestleZone. Credit there to Warner Brothers for that. I guess that picture from the movie. Apparently, he wanted to do the Barbie cameo. His team was telling him, "No, don't do this," and he was like, "Yeah, I must do it. I must be the merman in the Barbie movie." And so, I mean, he won. Cena went over and he got to do the cameo in the Barbie movie. This was apparently on the Howard Stern show, where he was asked about this and brought it up. What did you think of John Cena as the merman in the Barbie movie?
He only had like 2 or 3 lines, and he was pure comic relief.
Beautiful.
So, he had like 2, 3. Look at him. You could just imagine what the lines were. Like, he's dumb as a rock. He's a merman. And he was very funny in it. I forget what the lines were specifically, but the movie was pretty good. So, and obviously wildly popular. So,
Sure, he looks like he's having a great time. Doesn't look like there was a lot of costuming involved in this.
Mhm.
He looks like he's wrestling, except he's got a wig on.
He's
And
trying
he's
to get,
wearing a shell. He's part of the bloodline now. He's an honorary Samoan.
he's trying to get into the movie thing, but a lot of his roles that he takes are very silly comedy acts, like very silly. So that's what
He's pulling it off, though, right? I mean, he's had a pretty good career of comedy movies here.
Yeah, no, he is good at being like it's some that are like so silly. So he's done a good job with it.
Good for you, John Cena, putting your foot down, putting your flipper down, and insisting that you could be the merman in the Barbie movie.
Right.
Over the objections of the people who apparently have more shame than you do. But that's wonderful. I would have done it too. Why not?
Yeah.
Speaking of guys, WWE and moving on, Matt Riddle reveals that he failed a WWE drug test after using cocaine. He is now in NJPW, New Japan Pro Wrestling. He won their TV title. We covered it in our previous live stream, Cheap Heat. Apparently, this was more serious than, just a little marijuana.
Yeah.
This was maybe cocaine and some other things. I went to this strip club and did some cocaine a couple of times, and I failed the drug test for that. Understandable.
Right.
That you would fail the drug test for that. Former tag team champion said he had multiple failed tests for cocaine.
So
okay.
I do want to say I used to work for a drug testing company, and cocaine is hard to fail for because when you do the urine test, it's out of your system within like a day or two.
Okay.
So marijuana, if you smoke a lot and you stop, like it's in your system for like 20 days, something like that. So you could have not smoked for 20 days and you get dinged. For him, he must have been pretty deep into the cocaine use if he was failing drug tests. That means he had a drug test and he was doing it the night before. So it wasn't the occasional bump. Let's just put it like that.
His character was not the brightest of bulbs in there. So perhaps he got confused and thought that, lighting up on the drug test meant you won.
Right.
I got a drug test. Hold on.
Yeah. He was trying to win it, right?
What do I win? I went over. No, you don't want to go over on the drug test.
No.
So he apparently, we can laugh about it because apparently he got over it. He's got his career back on track. He's performing well over in New Japan for the time being, but he had some issues.
Yeah, and he's had them in the past too with the UFC, although the UFC stuff was a little ridiculous because he was failing for marijuana, and now it's like Liv Morgan failed or got arrested for marijuana, and everybody said, "Oh, who cares?"
Medical marijuana in her car, like she had the paraphernalia in her car on a traffic stop. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like getting fired by WWE happened at the right time. He told the MMA Hour.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying I won't go back or saying I will go back. There's no discussion there. But at the same time, I just had another kid, little Matthew, and with the WWE schedule, it's a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, he just could have left without doing a bunch of coke.
He could have. Yeah, I really think if you're really concerned about your son, maybe easy on the cocaine and the strip clubs. But at the end of the day, he might be right if he's in New Japan and the shows are more globally localized in Japan. But if he's in Japan, maybe he gets away from some of the stuff that's been floating around here too, that's made him make these bad decisions, and he can go over there, check that out. I don't think that he was particularly way over when he came back from his injury.
Yeah.
So he can go build himself up. He's a perfect guy from a physical standpoint to get over in Japan because he's a great athlete, and that's really that's really what they're targeting, right? Is athletes at this point.
Good for him. And this comes to us from bleacherreport.com. So he did look like a good athlete for the little bit that I got to see of him last winter, spring, leading up to WrestleMania. So yeah, if change of scenery, if the change of scenery works out for him, good for him, good for New Japan Pro Wrestling, for signing him, and wish him the best. Especially if he's got his personal life cleaned up as well, not just a professional story, but a personal story. Moving on to someone else who left the WWE, back to WrestleZone here. AJ Francis, top dollar in the WWE, was hinting my TNA debut will be the greatest match an AJ has ever had in TNA, which is a nice call out to AJ Styles, probably the greatest wrestler in TNA Impact history. So we don't usually like when guys call out guys in other promotions. It's kind of cheap, especially if they've left. It's kind of cheap. But this was good cheap heat. I mean, apparently he's supposed to be a little bit of a heel, and why not try and make yourself better than AJ Styles?
No, I
when
like
he's not there to defend himself.
I like this one because it only kind of works because AJ Styles is such a high level at this point.
Yep.
So it's not like he's punching down or even punching sideways. Like he's punching way up because AJ Styles is a featured Hall of Famer, and Top Dollar is known for botching. So good for him for just going for it, right? Like, hey man, I don't have much going for me right now, so I might as well just try to be as much of a heel as possible.
Well, he might have a lot going for him. I mean, if he's a new signing at Impact, they put him on TV this past Thursday, which was last night. This is AJ Francis and Diener versus Rick Swann and Joe Hendry. And apparently it was Joe Hendry and Rich Swann who won this match. So the best AJ in TNA Impact history. He did not have the greatest debut on the win-loss side of it, but again, this may have been what he needed. We've talked about before that he has been very open about the fact that when the botch happened, he was secretly very, very sick and did not know it, and the botch helped him just go to the doctor and get checked out, and found out that he was either pre-diabetic or full-blown diabetes at that point, and it was really bad. And so this was good for his personal life, and now it seems like he's got a professional rebound. So, guys who are able to continue their careers post WWE, I think that's a great sign, especially if it involves, just getting better personally as well.
Yeah, I think it's cool and kind of surprising that TNA gobbled him up. I know he did a GCW show, which is a local indie federation in the area, in South Jersey, and he moved on to, I know he moved on to TNA. I really thought Well, he's probably done with wrestling, just from what I'd seen from him. Like, who's gonna pick him up? But hey, he's in TNA. He gets an opportunity. Maybe he learns a couple things, or at least gets a little bit more out of his career. And I said this about Top Dollar, and I'll say it again. He played in the NFL. He was in the WWE. Hey, maybe he's a practice squad guy. He was barely making the teams, but he was in the WWE. You can hang your hat on that. It's a really cool accomplishment. I think there's a lot of people out there that would love to live that type of lifestyle. So kudos to him.
And it ain't over.
And it's not over. He's in TNA. So
he's in TNA. This is very good. A couple of sad things to mention. One of which was on tonight's. WWE did a little tribute there coming back from commercial for Virgil. Michael Jones, the former WWE wrestling star. He was as Virgil. He was Vincent in the WCW for a while. He was paired with Ted DiBiase for a while. That's what he's best known for, as Ted DiBiase's bodyguard, and then at one point rival, teaming up with Roddy Piper. He was only 61 years old. His Instagram post, they posted that this is to confirm the sad news about our beloved meat sauce god. In later years, he was known as the guy who, when he would do appearances, would ask for food to be thrown in there, and it was just pasta with meat sauce. This is a regular dude. I gotta like that pasta with meat sauce. Our beloved meat sauce god, wrestling superstar Virgil Michael Jones, has passed away. Only 61. Let's see here. Wrestling referee and friend Mike Charles broke the news on Wednesday on Facebook. He's a guy who maybe punched above his weight class in the WWE. He was never really a great wrestling athlete, but he was part of a good gimmick, and he played his part, and he turned it into a career, and then, of course, turned it into a career after that on the indies, where he would make appearances.
We're just gonna say hey back to Jay Uso who's joined us. Thanks for joining.
All right.
Let us know what you think about Virgil, Jay Uso and we're talking from my perspective. I think he had a pretty full career, even toward the end, where he was like doing the Olive Garden thing. I always thought that was really funny because he said, "Oh, just go in the Olive Garden today," and he was able to, and I think he was a guy that also said, like, hey man, people can make fun of me, but I was there and they weren't. And
right.
That's a good point. You were certainly there. And I also think of that promo, and I don't know if you can remember this, but the $1 Million Man making the kid dribble the ball, and he has to dribble it 10 times for like $1,000, and it gets up to 9, and he knocks the ball away. And then the kid doesn't get the money. So Vincent or Virgil at the time was there with him.
Yeah, of course. Mm-hmm. Yes, he was around. He made a good career for himself. Sad that he passed away only at 61. Another big wrestler, one of the original members of the Four Horsemen, Ole Anderson, dies at 81. Ole Anderson in the WWE Hall of Fame, I believe, as one of the Four Horsemen there. Of course, WWE releases a statement extending condolences. Ric Flair, of course, also rest in peace, my friend. Condolences. If you want to go around, this comes to us from USA Today. The previous one on Virgil was from NBC News. If you want to search around YouTube, go find Georgia Championship Wrestling, the Ole Anderson heel turn on Dusty Rhodes from 1980. This is one of the great wrestling angles of all time. Like, really of all time. This is fantastic. Go watch it. I've got the sound down. I mean, we'll play a little here. This episode is Ole Anderson yelling at everybody in the wrestling studio. There's Gordon Soley there. They eventually get into the match that happened in a steel cage, where Ole Anderson turns on Dusty Rhodes. He's Dusty Rhodes' partner, and he turns on Dusty Rhodes. Everybody is then beating down on Dusty Rhodes. There are people in this arena trying to climb into the cage.
Oh, no.
This is 1980. People are trying. Go find Ole Anderson. Great on the mic. Great heel. Naturally ornery. Get off my lawn. Four Horsemen guy. Let's close with something else from AEW this weekend. It's an AEW pay-per-view. It's Sting's last match. Darby Allin wrote an article for the Players Tribune that was published this week about just being able to work with Sting for the last 3 years.
Hello there. Do you know what this means, Tom? You've been taking some
Ni hao. Is that hello in Chinese or Japanese? Ni hao?
If so, ni hao. Hello.
Hello.
Thanks
back
for
at
joining
you.
the chat.
Yes, thank you very much. What do you think of Sting's last match? Go to the Players Tribune if you can. Darby Allin writes, there's some colorful language in it, but Darby Allin saying, I have no idea who came up with the saying, don't meet your heroes. They probably spent time in the wrestling business. And then he goes on to say, however, I met Sting and, he was just talking about how great the ride has been. He has talked about Sting basically asking him, hey, what do you want to do in these matches? Instead of coming in like the big, star veteran and say, okay, here's what I'm doing. And we can verify reports from that. Both AJ Styles and Nick Aldis have talked about that from Sting's days in TNA Impact, that when they worked with Sting, Sting would come up to them and say, all right, what do you want to do in the match? Do you want to call the match? Do you want to call some of the spots? And these guys would look at him like, you want me to call the match?
Right.
He's like, yeah. Yeah, what do you want to do? I mean, you've been wrestling more than I have. What do you want to do? And both of those guys talking about how it just, it just elevated them. Because they're working with Sting, who's known all over the world as a great wrestler. And he's saying, yeah, what do you want to do in the match?
Oh, very cool. Look at this message we have.
Took pictures with Sting when you were king. Fantastic.
That is awesome. Very
wow,
cool.
so you get to me. So you're an old-time wrestling fan then?
Yeah, for sure.
That's great. I remember Sting back from before the Crow when he was Surfer Sting, getting into NWA and then WCW. Then his TNA run, a little bit of the WWE run that was unfortunately cut short, and then returning to AEW as a 61-year-old. And now 3 years later, he is 64. He's less than 3 weeks shy of his 65th birthday. What do you think about this Sting's last match? This past Wednesday on Dynamite, I don't know if you saw it. He descended from the rafters in Huntsville.
Yes.
It's the second time he did that. He did that once in his WCW days. What say you about this Darby Allin take? What say you about this pay-per-view that's coming up in 2 days from when we're live streaming here?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Dom. It was a very cool thing at Dynamite to see him come from the rafters.
Okay.
And I have Baby John joining me right now. So if you don't mind, please.
Third man in the booth. It's about time.
Yeah, he's saying hello.
Very good.
I'm gonna go ahead. Give me just a sec here. I'll be right back.
Sure. Here's Darby Allin writing, what is happening? This is insane. How is Sting so nice? Well, say as a 27-year-old nobody who he's probably thinking jacked half his look. And apparently Sting never acted, too good for the guys. When he went to TNA, he didn't act like he was too good for them. And when he went to AEW, he also did not act like he was too good for them. And this is fantastic. I respect him so much for it. There's pictures of Sting backstage, just hanging out. Up here is them getting their make on together and talking before a match. Darby and Sting, they're in makeup, getting ready. So there's a lot that goes into this, and apparently these guys these guys bonded. They became friends. If there's one last chapter of Sting's legacy that gets written, I hope it's this. Cycles can be broken. The wrestling business, it actually can treat older wrestlers with respect and not spit on them on their way out. And older wrestlers, they actually can give instead of take. They can go out with grace and not like a little bitch. This is fantastic. This is good. I'm glad to know that, and maybe this is why Sting's final run has been so good for, as far as everybody who's been involved has said they've enjoyed it so much, is because Sting has not acted like he's too good to be there. Sting has not acted like, this is the minor leagues. Sting has shown up and has, been part of the show as if it's still, the biggest deal in the world. And so that's got to bode well, and that's got to engender a lot of good feelings. You can see why not only Darby Allin, but Tony Khan seems to like him. A lot of the other guys who've spoken out about it seem to like him. And we'll see what happens at AEW. I believe it's is it Revolution coming up? It's AEW Revolution is the pay-per-view March 3rd. I got one pay-per-view from AEW, and it was the one that John and I that we recapped sometime last year. It turned out to be probably one of the worst pay-per-views ever. That we were laughing about, that I may have gotten the worst of what AEW had to offer on that pay-per-view, whatever it was. I've forgotten the name. I am thinking of maybe getting this pay-per-view this Sunday, because it can't be as bad as that other one was. And because, for the Sting factor. If there's one guy who can sell tickets, Sting can still draw money, right? He can still do this. And if he gets a few extra pay-per-view buys, like perhaps from me, then he's going out still as a star, still as a guy who's good for business, still as a guy who's good for his coworkers, apparently. And so kudos to Steve Borden as he steps into retirement after this Sunday. Kudos to Darby Allin for apparently handling everything as well as he has, as the young guy that they've paired Sting with, that makes Sting's run a lot better. So Sting doesn't have to be out there in one-on-one matches all the time. He can be out there tagging with Darby Allin and doing cool stuff. This looks like a little fun. This looks like a not a little fun, but a lot of fun. It's been a good ride. The "you still got it" chants are bound to happen from the crowd, but the crowd who sees and who says "you still got it" for a nostalgia act, that's one thing. But for your fellow wrestlers to say that it's been their pleasure and it's been good for them to work with you during your last run, that's extra. This is fantastic.
So Dom, anything else from Cheap Heat?
That's all I got. I was just telling everybody watching live and on the recording that I may get this pay-per-view and watch it.
Oh, wow.
I may do that. Tell us in the chat. Tell us in the comments. Are you getting AEW's pay-per-view this weekend? It's Revolution, right?
Yep. AEW Revolution.
Are you going to watch AEW Revolution? And if you are, have you been swayed to do so for Sting's last match? If you were going to watch it anyway, what say you about having Sting's last match on it? Are you comfortable or uncomfortable with that getting so much of the press and perhaps being the main event? John, you watch a lot of AEW. Let's have you break the ice for our viewers there, whether in the chat, on Twitch, on Facebook, on Twitter, or on YouTube, or if you're watching this in the replay in our archive at YouTube, where you can subscribe, where we're climbing ever closer to 500 subscribers. Please do that. What say you, John? Are you more likely to watch this pay-per-view because Sting's last match is there? Are you sad, happy, pleased, not pleased that it looks like it might be the main event?
I will say this. The pay-per-view itself, outside of the Sting match, looks really good.
Okay.
I think it's a strong pay-per-view, specifically the triple threat title match with Hangman, Adam Page, Swerve Strickland, and Samoa Joe. That should be
Yes.
really good. They have a match. Daniel Bryan's going to have a match with Eddie Kingston, which I feel like should be pretty good.
Okay.
And so I think the pay-per-view overall is good. They did a good job building the Sting match because they announced his retirement. Hey, he's retiring at AEW Revolution, and it was months and months out. So they have been doing they've been getting presents for him. He's been coming out. He's been getting his flowers everywhere he goes because everyone knows it's the last time you see him. I was at the show when they announced it. I said, "Well, that's it. It's the last time I'll see Sting." But ultimately, I will say this: I'm happy that he's retiring because he's 65. I don't know how much more you should be wrestling when you are a 65-year-old man. No offense to anyone that is over 65 and listening to us and still wants to do it and still thinks they could do it. Don't let me crush your dreams, but let's face it. At 65 years old, you're not going to be a really good pro wrestler. And he's still doing things to make himself serviceable on top of the nostalgia pop.
Okay.
So, but he's been in a lot of tag matches. He hasn't done any single stuff. They've protected him to that point. He's kind of goes in there like Superman. He still hits the Scorpion Death Drop, and it looks great.
Okay.
So he can still hit that Scorpion Death Drop. I don't know if did you see this segment in AEW? Did you catch any of it?
I saw a YouTube clip from AEW's channel there, and on a little bit of their Twitter channels as well from AEW. Ric Flair apparently got in the ring.
Yes.
And
did you see that part?
I saw the part where Ric Flair threw punches that.
Yeah.
And then Ric Flair got beat up, and then
it looked like Monty Burns throwing a punch, like, ugh, So it was so bad when he threw the punch. It looked like, and then he threw the punch, and then they had to sell it. So I don't know if it was Matthew or Nicholas Jackson, which one of them, but they had to sell it a little
bit. EVPs.
Yeah. So anyways, if you're watching now, we have a video about Sting actually on our YouTube channel.
Yes, as because this is another wrinkle for his retirement match. Sting and Darby Allin won the tag team titles.
Right.
What happened? Can they win as one half of the tag team is retiring?
Yes, it's a great.
How does that work storyline wise? If they win, does Darby Allin have to choose a new partner? Did the belts get held up and there's a tournament for them? If they lose, will the crowd in wherever they're going to be riot?
And I don't want to spoil our video, but yeah, maybe I will.
Spoil the video. Why not?
I said, to hell with it. Just have him win. There's no reason to have him lose. He's been undefeated in AEW. Let him leave on top. It's not going to do too much of the storyline anyway. If the Nicholas and Matthew don't win it now, they'll find a way to win it later. And then they'll retire with the belts, and somehow someone will get it, and maybe Nicholas and Matthew can chase them. But it is one of these things where it seems like let's get rid of this retirement, this ridiculous retirement tradition, and just say, let Sting win. Let us all go home happy.
I think that's the way to do it. And we're into the Italian goodbye, so yeah, we're going home pretty happy as well here.
That's true. We
still have people online with us.
Yes.
Tell us what you think. Chime in on the chats. If you have not found us on YouTube yet, please go over there. The other formats we can live stream on, but they don't lend themselves to an archive of video content. So the mother load of all our Don't Bury the Lead content is over on the YouTube channel. We appreciate you catching us live and the full shows wherever you do, but We also encourage you to go to YouTube and subscribe there and check out all the content we have available for you there, including, should Sting lose his last match at AEW Revolution? Question mark. And I guess that's for all of us to answer.
Yeah, and I gotta say tonight, Dom, I said we were at 464.
I see 471 now. I just went to the page.
Popped up to 471. I think we might have gotten a subscriber from this live feed, so thanks for that. And then also there is a short going absolutely bananas. This Nia Jax and Rhea Ripley.
Yes, the second one of those. Whoa, wow, okay. Very good, yeah.
Yeah, that's got us 12 subscribers, so this one's going nuts.
There you go. And that also that short was made from a longer video. That was the lead of our Elimination Chamber recap. Go visit that longer edited clip from just 5 days ago. We had some maybe interesting things to say about Nia Jax and Rhea Ripley, because Nia Jax, she's had an up and down career in WWE. And, go find out how we analyzed her performance there in Perth as the monster heel.
Yes. That was fun because we did it together, too. We weren't Zooming like we currently are.
We're currently using Restream. We enjoy it. But we were hanging out, eating pizza, drinking a wonderful oatmeal stout.
It was actually good.
Brewery.
Yes. We both live in New Jersey, so you really got to pick your poison with the craft breweries, or you have to. I should say this: you have to be careful, because you can drink some terrible beer here because there's so many craft breweries. But if you find the right brewery, this beer was very good. This oatmeal stout.
Yep.
I feel like
it's a dark beer. It's a dark beer, a heavy beer. It's not one of those lighter beers, and it's not an IPA or a pale ale or something, or a summertime ale or whatever. This was a I like the porters and the stouts. That's just me. So I figured I'd bring one over and bring over a 4-pack of pints there and see. So you liked it.
I did. And how was you got home okay when I dropped you off at Camden and everything?
Oh yes, I love Camden.
Mm.
It helped me out. I was able to do a little business in Camden, picking up the next month's bus tickets.
Oh, nice. Okay.
I enjoy the bus. That saved me an extra trip to Camden that I would have had to do sometime else this week. I was like, well, I'm here.
Okay, perfect.
So that worked out perfectly.
Camden, New Jersey. You were right across the river from Philadelphia, the location of WrestleMania
40. The location of WrestleMania 40. And half of Don't Bury the Lead will be in attendance on Saturday for the main event that got announced tonight, The Rock and Roman Reigns tag team match against Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes. There are stipulations for the next night's main event between Cody and Roman for the undisputed Universal title.
I was talking to a friend of ours, Steve LaCastro, and he said he's going to check out the tickets on Saturday, hoping that they reduce in price.
Oh,
these third-party scalpers start to get a little nervous if you're 3-4 hours until the event and the tickets are just sitting there. So maybe he's hoping to grab one there. So maybe keep your eyes peeled on SeatGeek or something like that. I wish we had a SeatGeek sponsorship and I could promote
There you go. I wonder if the prices are going to go up now that they've announced The Rock is wrestling on Saturday night.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. I've seen the cheapest tickets right now are $250 just to get in the door and sit in the cheap seats. We got really good seats, really like club box for $380, which are looking amazing now because they're going for like $750. So
yeah.
We balled out though. Yeah, so there's that opportunity. And then I just I was gonna say, Tom, I made the 2024 playlist. I don't know if you want to on stream decide what videos we should put on, or should we wait till after stream?
The 2024 stream, best of 2024.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to have all our figure fours Figure fours are those
on.
that have gotten at least 1,000 views. I call them figure fours because it's a wrestling channel. You should call it a figure four.
Right.
Don't bury the lead. This is a wrestling channel. They're not 4-figure videos. They're figure four videos. Tap out. Let's see. Our best stuff. The Stephanie McMahon one's got to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Where we revisited.
Is that a figure 8 or no? Because it's over. No.
A figure. Well, because it's about a woman. I don't know.
Oh no, I thought because it's a double. It's over 1,000. It's 2,000 views.
It's a 2,000. Yeah, I don't know. So yeah, it's still 4-figure. It's not a figure 5, which is not a thing.
I guess it's a figure. It's a 4-figure. It's a figure 4, but it's yeah. It's over.
It's like the records that go double platinum.
Okay.
This is a double figure 4 here. We got to put that one in. The Stephanie McMahon one. Where we talk about, maybe Stephanie knew something and that's why she left the WWE executive perch when Vince came back, just knowing that, something's going to happen and I don't want to have to do this.
Right.
The Sami Zayn one from a house show where he got legit injured, split open by a ricocheting broken table on his head, and then refused to leave the ring because it was in Canada and he's got to cheer for everybody and play to the crowd. That one's got to be there. Other good ones from here. The Shannon Sharp one did well.
Yes.
Where knowing just that Shannon Sharp is a big wrestling fan, that's good stuff.
Let me do this. You want me to share my screen as we walk through it, and I'll just add them to the playlist?
Oh, sure. Go for it. I think all the figure fours have to go there, and other ones that we think are climbing, like Jade Cargill training from a month ago. That one's 900 and something. If you want to go watch us talking about Jade Cargill training with Natalya in the dungeon, go watch our short clip there. It's 3.5 minutes long. That's a good one. There was a good Hulk Hogan one as well, wasn't there recently?
Yeah, that one did pretty well. So let me do this. I'm gonna share. Excuse me.
Oh, bless you.
All right. So if I go over to manage videos, and you can see my screen, right?
I can see your screen. You are in dark mode.
Yes, this is true. And I
am in light mode because it's also my lighting for the camera here.
Nice. So I can add a description. How do I do this? I think if I
best of 2024, and of course, more videos will be placed in there as they do well. So really, our best of lists are not determined by us. They're determined by the viewers.
Mm-hmm.
It's the viewers who determine what our best content is.
True. This is exactly true. Yeah, this is the best of, meaning got the most watches, so videos.
We listen to the fans.
Choose existing videos. Here we go. Here we go.
If there are videos getting over, it's like we lean into it.
So we're going to do Nia Jax. That's over 1,000.
That's the shorts.
No, this is the Nia Jax video that we made of the lead.
Oh, okay, that's right. Yeah, that one blew up. Yeah.
Yeah, that did really well. So that's over 1,000.
That's got to be in there. Yeah.
The Rock buries the state of Utah on SmackDown. That didn't get over 1,000, so let's hold off on that.
Stephanie.
Oh, Stephanie
deserves to be treated by Vince like this.
Mm-hmm. Stephanie one is definitely in there.
Shannon Sharp shocks fans.
Is that?
That's from between a month and 2 months ago, so like January.
Yeah, Shannon Sharp shocks fans.
The Sami Zayn one can go as well. That's 4 that are figure 4s there.
Oh, absolutely.
And then maybe the Jade Cargill training. That one's getting close, and that really is a cool video.
Yeah, that's a good one, and she really is. Jade's give. I'll tell you what, Jade is an anomaly because we make a video about her. She get tons of views. She hadn't wrestled in WWE in 6 months, but she's still getting views for us. Let's see here. There's that. Oh, did you say the Hulk Hogan one?
That's 5. What else do we have from 2024? So we can't go back too far. I mean, 2024 is only 2 months old.
Yeah, I think
So
this one, and then there was another one with Ric Flair. Should he retire? I think we could add those two. And I think as the year goes on, if the list gets inflated, we could drop these two. But because we don't have any,
I like the Jobber of the Year.
Oh yeah, right. How many views is that?
That was fun. That's up over 600.
Oh yeah, then definitely.
That's not a bad one. We did one CoffeeZilla versus Logan Paul. That's up over 800. I think that's the kind of thing that should go there as well. That's the kind of thing that, if it keeps climbing a bit, because maybe it has some legs, that could go that could go over and become a figure 4. So we've got
I picked the wrong Stephanie one. I'll have to remove this. This is just short. Where did I go for this?
I just go to videos and I hit the popular tab. And so our best stuff that's within 1 month ago is there. The Stephanie one, the Sami Zayn one. Shannon Sharp is there as well. The Nia Jax one from a few days ago. 1, 2, 3, 4.
If I view my channel, manage. Let's see if anybody's even watching this. This should be funny if somebody is. No, it's one person on Twitch. Love
there you
it.
go. Hey,
Hanging
thanks for sticking with us here. Hey, tell us what should be in our best of 2024 here that it's only 2 months old.
No, I'll click into playlists and then details, videos. No, videos. I know I have to add the correct Stephanie one, so I'll click videos. How did I do this? Edit in YouTube? I did this before. I feel like this didn't work. Share. Add a video. Here we go. So I can add the Stephanie.
Which is our third best original content ever.
Yeah, that was a crazy one.
Getting close to 2,500 views.
Yeah, that went off.
Creeping up to Tony Khan burying CM Punk after firing him.
Yeah, this one was really good because everyone was just talking about Vince, and we took the different angle to talk about. And you mentioned it holistically. You're like, oh, well, what about Stephanie? Like, no one really talks about that. But you kind of, so you mentioned that, and then I went through the video. I'm like, oh, this is a good little nugget here. Let's see if this gets us something. And then it did.
You and I, Don't Bury the Lead is a deep show. We're not just doing surface level stuff here. We know what we're talking about here with pro wrestling. We can see a little bit beyond just the shallow waters.
This one got 515 views.
Oh, the one where Vince is fired?
Yeah. So I got the Stephanie one. Oh, I hope I have this one. I'll add just in case. Yeah, I didn't have that.
Stephanie, Sammy's injury.
The fraud, Stephanie. The jobber of the year.
Shannon Sharp.
Shannon Sharp's up there, and I can put them in order. I'll put
Sure. Nia Jax from this the lead from this past Sunday.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And yeah, the Jade Training and maybe the CoffeeZilla one calling out Logan Paul.
CoffeeZilla one did pretty well.
That was up over 800.
Let's do Sammy. He's up there. And then where's Stephanie? But you know what, Dom? I think this might be the baby's telling me that Cheap Heat or Italian Goodbye.
It's time for the real goodbye, not the Italian goodbye.
Yeah, it's time for the real goodbye.
All right.
These are in the right order, and I'll put this one up at the top here. Okay, I think this is good. I think this is a good start. And these can change as time goes on, but we have at least our best of.
We're going to keep making videos, and there's going to keep getting views.
This is true. We'll just keep making videos.
This is just where we are now, 2 months into 2024.
Which is awesome. I mean, really is. When I think last year, if we had I don't think we had a video over 100 views.
Oh, it took us to the summer to get something over 1,000. We were almost doing this a full year before we got one of our original content things to go over 1,000.
Yeah, it took forever. But I think we're getting some good subscribers, and we're getting a good idea of what we need to do. Especially, I think Cheap Heat's really helped us out a lot. Mm-hmm. But on that note, Dom, I think it's time to end the stream.
There you go.
Well, thank you guys. Whoever is still hanging on, I appreciate it. You got to see a little inside baseball for how many views we have. Keep hanging around. You're going to see more and more stuff.
We've almost gone as long as the opening segment of SmackDown tonight.
Italian Goodbye was almost as long as the opening segment of SmackDown, which is hilarious because we trashed it and now we're doing it. Well, so with that note, thank you all so much.
Another 20 minutes or so to go, right?
Right. With that note, thanks so much for joining. Really appreciate it. And have a great rest of your evening.